in the heart of the untamed Mongolian steppe, where survival was a relentless battle against nature, one man would rise to reshape the course of history. His name was Temujin, but the world would remember him as Genghis Khan. His journey from an outcast to the ruler of the largest empire in history was built on cunning strategy, unparalleled brutality, and an unwavering vision of unity. But beyond the battlefield, there were secrets hidden in the shadows. His mysterious burial site, his advanced spy networks, his use of biological warfare, and even his genetic legacy that persists to this day. This is the story of the legendary Genghis Khan. Born in 1162, Temujin's childhood was marked by betrayal and hardship. After his father was poisoned, his family was abandoned, left to survive in the harsh Mongolian wilderness. But what few know is that Temujin and his family were so desperate for food that they resorted to eating wild roots, insects, and even rodents. His mother, Hoelun, was the only reason they survived. She instilled in him the belief that a leader is not born of privilege, but forged through struggle. Even in his youth, Temujin understood that loyalty was a rare and fragile thing, one that could be bought, earned, or destroyed. When hunger drove his half-brother, Bekta, to hoard food, Temujin saw it not as selfishness, but as a direct threat to his survival. Mongols lived by a brutal code. Those who do not share do not deserve to lead. Without hesitation, Temujin drew his bow and shot Bekta dead, proving to his family and himself that he would not hesitate to remove those who stood in his way, even if they shared his blood. This moment was the first of many ruthless decisions that would define his rule. What few realize is that Genghis Khan was not merely a great warrior. He was a strategic architect, a man whose genius extended far beyond the battlefield. Unlike traditional Mongol chieftains, who relied on bloodline and tradition to assert their power, Temujin understood that true authority was built through loyalty, discipline, and the ability to inspire devotion. He dismantled the old tribal system, where power was distributed based on lineage, and instead created a meritocratic military machine where even the lowliest herdsman could rise to become a commander if he proved his worth. His greatest weapon was not just his sword or his bow, but his ability to bind men to his cause through trust, fear, and the promise of a destiny greater than themselves. The Mongol tribes, once fragmented and divided, began to merge under his iron will, transforming into a single, unstoppable force. He was not just creating an army, he was forging an empire from the ashes of centuries-old rivalries. The Mongols were not just warriors, they were masters of psychological and tactical warfare, executing strategies so sophisticated that they remain studied by military leaders to this day. One of Genghis Khan's most feared techniques was the feigned retreat, a deceptive maneuver where his cavalry would appear to flee in disarray, luring enemy forces into pursuit. Just as the overconfident foe stretched their lines too thin, Mongol forces would suddenly wheel around and counterattack, encircling them in a storm of arrows and cutting off their escape. But their genius didn't stop there. Genghis Khan meticulously gathered intelligence before every battle, utilizing a vast network of spies, defectors, and informants to learn enemy weaknesses before his forces even arrived. He even employed early forms of biological warfare, catapulting the bodies of plague victims into besieged cities to spread disease and terror. His ability to manipulate perception and control the battlefield was so complete that entire cities surrendered at the mere rumor of his approach, knowing that resistance meant total annihilation. To Genghis Khan, war was not about brute force. It was about precision, deception, and the complete domination of the enemy's mind. The rise of the Mongol Empire was not a gradual conquest. It was an explosion of domination that reshaped the map of the world. At its height, the Mongol Empire stretched across 11 million square miles, an expanse larger than the Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, and even the conquests of Alexander the Great. But the Mongols were not merely conquerors. They were architects of a globalized world, opening trade routes, spreading technology, and unifying cultures under a single rule. Despite his reputation for brutality, Genghis Khan was also one of history's most pragmatic rulers, granting religious freedom across his empire and ensuring that merchants, scholars, and artisans were protected rather than exploited. However, those who defied him were met with unspeakable destruction. When the Khwarezmian Empire foolishly executed his envoys, Genghis Khan's response was swift and merciless. His armies descended like a storm of fire, obliterating entire cities and ensuring that not a single enemy was left alive. This was his ultimate message to the world: submit willingly or be erased from history. In the year 1227, the unstoppable force that had reshaped the world came to an end. Genghis Khan, whose mere name struck fear into the hearts of kings and emperors, died under mysterious circumstances. Some claim he was injured in battle, others say he fell from his horse, and darker rumors even suggest he was assassinated by a vengeful Tangut princess. But what remains one of history's most enduring enigmas is his final resting place. According to legend, his funeral procession took extreme measures to conceal his burial site. They killed anyone who crossed their path, ensuring that no one would know where the great Khan was laid to rest. Some say his tomb was hidden beneath a mountain, its entrance sealed forever. Others believe a river was diverted to flow over it, making detection impossible. To this day, despite centuries of searching and modern technology, the tomb of Genghis Khan has never been found, a secret that remains buried with the empire he built. The legacy of Genghis Khan is woven into the very fabric of history. His conquests did not merely change borders, they shaped civilizations, setting the foundation for modern trade, diplomacy, and warfare. His Yam postal system was an early model for global communication networks, and his policies on religious tolerance and meritocracy influenced rulers long after his death. But his most astonishing legacy is not written in books or etched into monuments. It is etched into the very DNA of millions. Studies show that 1 in every 200 men worldwide carries a genetic marker linked to Genghis Khan, meaning that even centuries later, his bloodline still walks among us. Some see him as a brutal tyrant, others as the ultimate warrior king. But one truth remains undeniable. Genghis Khan was not just a man. He was a force of nature, a storm that changed the course of the world forever.